You know, I'd forgotten how good the big Crossy is off-road. I mean, it ain't no Africa Twin, but... Holy cow, she's got some grunt, this thing. So I just want to have a talk about the DCT. While I'm on the cross tour at the moment, oh boy, I wish I'd bought a DCT version. This would be perfect with a shaft drive. So I just finished that video series, Ride the Divide. It's really good, so thanks everyone for your comments, and that was just that was a really nice video to put together, actually, because there's so many good memories. Really good. What I thought I'd do is just talk about that ride I had on Chris's DCT. I had a couple of rides, and I put a little bit of one ride in the the last video, the finale. But I had another ride on, I think, the second or third day of the trip, and it was the first thing you notice, obviously, because there's no clutch, there's no gear lever. It's just a little disoriented when you take off, just to ride it like a scooter, just to roll the throttle on. Yeah, right, we're on. All right, Africa Twin, DCT. That's crazy. But it's not awkward. It's just unusual, and it's just different. And if you can cope with just some slight changes, it actually doesn't take very long to get used to it. It's really, I was surprised how quickly I became familiar with, you know, just riding the bike without having to worry about all that sort of stuff. Now, there was that one time, you know, on that second day I went to pull up quickly because I had an intersection. So I went and grabbed the clutch, which wasn't there. That was a bit funny, and you kind of grab the clutch and go to drop it down a few gears. Grabbing the clutch, trying to change down. That's just weird. You know, I came to a stop basically using engine braking and the brakes. You know, close the throttle and pull the brakes on. And the bike just changed down the gears, so I didn't need to worry about getting it back into neutral or first to take off again. So from the perspective of rideability, it's very easy. I was more impressed, to be honest. I was more impressed than I thought I was going to be. What I particularly liked was standing up. But the key thing here for me, like, this doesn't have riser bars on it because it's for Chris, obviously. But here's the key thing, is I can just change gears. Like, I've just gone down a gear, another gear. Haven't had to, you know, do a bit of yoga with the left leg to get down under the gear lever with the big boots on. So, and up into third, fourth, back down to third. Wow. Yeah. Okay, DCT's a bit of a winner. Normally when you're standing up and riding, your position to change gears is a little bit of calisthenics or yoga to get your foot down underneath the gear lever to shift gears. Not so hard going down gears, but if you're coming up, you've kind of got to just get your leg down underneath it. I really found just changing gears standing up by using the paddles, flicking the paddles, was so good. It was so good. It was perfect. And while Chris's bike wasn't set up for me, you know, because I was still a bit crouched because I wasn't standing fully because it wasn't big enough. But if it was on a bike that was set up for me and I had standing up the way that I can, it just would have been so good. And I was really impressed. I'm actually trying to think of some balanced negatives about it. Chris talks about the fact that when you take off, you can't change gears while the wheel's spinning, so if traction control is activated, or if the back wheel is actually spooling up with traction control off, it won't allow you to shift gears. But in reality, you tend not to, while the rear wheel's spinning, you tend not to change up a gear anyway. Yeah, and you know, if you do, then it's how often do you do it? It's not that really that much of a big thing. The other thing he talks about is slow speed manoeuvring, where you know, you and I might feather a clutch on a manual bike. You obviously can't do that with the DCTs, but now this is supposed to be the difficult part for them, is that kind of low manoeuvring where you can't slip the clutch yourself. So it's supposed to be for slow speed manoeuvring, you're just using the brakes a little more, so just to slow the bike down a bit. There's pros and cons to it, and I think the pros outweigh the cons because the smoothness of the gear changes, because it's a proper dual clutch technology. Oh, sorry, one of the other cons that a couple of people talk about is the extra weight. Not such a thing for me. I'm a big guy. You know, like it's 4 kilos, 4.5 kilos, I think, for the extra clutch, maybe 5 kilos. But if that's the case, I was concerned about that, I'd lose 5 kilos. Easy said than done. But that's a different story. So there's the extra weight and there's the extra oil filter. So there's 2 oil filters on the DCT. But anyone that you talk to that's got a DCT just absolutely raves about it and loves them, particularly if you're doing a lot of urban work. So, you know, just riding around town, riding it as a scooter, having that constant throttle. Now, there's a couple of things you can override at any stage, as with any cars with that Tiptronic or with that you know, CVT transmissions, where they've got a sport mode where you can manually change gears through a gearbox. You can override that automatic stage at any point. So you can do the same on the bike. If you think it's not grabbing enough of a gear for you, then you just grab the paddle and you shift it to the gear that you want. Now, it's my understanding, don't quote me, it's my understanding that the intelligent system in the bike will actually learn intuitively how you like to ride. So, you know, if you're pulling gears a little higher than the bike is, then it'll actually change its shift points to meet that. That's my understanding. There may be some confusion because there is a user mode as well, where you can set up all the traction control and everything the way that you want. And the good thing about that is that when you turn the bike back on, it stays in user mode. Again, my understanding, but that's on the later model with the fly-by-wire. So yeah, in terms of next bike, I think I'll try the DCT next. I like the idea of just being off-road and being able to shift gears without having to do that calisthenics. So yeah, as I said, I had a couple of good rides on Chris's bike and thoroughly enjoyed it. I was a lot more impressed than I thought I was going to be. But just the way when you want to wind it on, just hold it on and it'll just change the gears for you. In sport mode, it holds the change points a bit longer, but in normal mode, I don't know, I suppose they call that normal. In normal mode, it's you know, it goes looking for the highest gear it can as quickly as possible. So yeah, DCT, thumbs up from Big Bike Adventures.
That's it's in gravel mode. Traction control 2.
Yep.
And when you flick it twice, it goes into Sport 3.
Okay.
And then that's same as yours. That's traction control. But if you want to override, that's down, that's up.
Okay.
So
let's go.
Coming into the corners, you can go down one gear more than you think.
Okay.
Because it's got slipper clutch.
Yep. Oh, I like how you've mounted that. You glued it on, have you?
No, it's got a screw there. So if you want to go to manual,
yeah,
put it in sport.
Right.
Press that again, and it's in manual.
Right.
So that turns manual on and off. So that's in sport.
Right. That's
so
neutral.
In sport, you just override it when you want. Yeah.
Go to grab the clutch. Yeah, right. We're on. All right, Africa Twin DCT. That's crazy. Holy smokes. So I'm just flipping it through the gears. Let's do it manually. Oh, I wasn't ready for a gear change then. That's me changing gears now. Boy, it's smooth. Holy cow. Wow. Alright, let's see if we can hear this. I'm trying to grab the clutch, but it is so I can pull up. So it just brakes, basically. It's just changing back down. Alright, let's just make sure he's not coming up behind me. Ready? Right. What I did then was I hit the traction control button instead of the gear lever. So that's a newbie trick. Alright, so let's go back down. That's fourth, third. I'm just changing that manually now. That's in sport mode. So back, I'll pull it right up back to first. So it's back to first. We get the right part of the gear. Okay, ready? And I'm grabbing the just grabbing for the clutch. It's a crazy sensation, and you know, going for a gear. Man, this thing's great. I like it. All right, now I'm pulling up hard, and it's just jamming down through the gears. Look at that. And we've got it down in second there. Oh, I want to go this way. There's first. So it's changing way sooner than I would, but it's yeah, that's interesting. But the key thing here for me, like, this doesn't have riser bars on it because it's for Chris, obviously. But here's the key thing: is I can just change gears. Like, I've just gone down a gear, another gear. Haven't had to, you know, do a bit of yoga with the left leg to get down under the gear lever with the big boots on. So, and up into third, fourth, back down to third. Wow. Yeah. Okay. DCT's a bit of a winner. I wanted it to hold a gear then. Yeah, I'm having to push it back down a gear because I want it to stay a little bit higher revs, but it's just pulling me up a gear. You listen. Yeah. I don't know if you can hear that. Oh, that's awesome. And, you know, it just doesn't take that long. You know, normally there you'd be changing up when you kind of you're sure the back end's not going to kind of grab traction in the wrong place, but oh. Wow. I've just gone down 2 gears. I could do that standing up. Yeah, that's it's ridiculous. Oh, I've gone to grab the brake and the clutch. Now this is supposed to be the difficult part for them, is this kind of low manoeuvring where you can't slip the clutch yourself. So it's supposed to be. Here comes Chris on my bike.